This is a diorama I built one time of a little living room. And it was around Christmas time, and here's a Christmas tree and a picture on the wall and the stockings hanging on the mantelpiece. And as I pan back, I built it inside of a tissue box. What you see in front of you here is a mock-up. Okay, and a mock-up that I do sometimes, it's a scale size 1-to-1 scale, just like the building is going to be, but it's a mock-up. It's a rendition of the same building. I put it on the display or the diorama or the train layout or whatever, just to see how it would fit. Okay, something might be too big, something might be too small, and this way I could see that with the mock-up before I go and build the actual building. And you look on here and you see some windows and all, and I'll do drawings of windows and stuff, or a drawing of the walls with AutoCAD. Okay, and you can see I have windows in there. The windows have arches. Let me zoom in on some of these arches, see them? And believe it or not, I can use these mock-ups also for the real model, and I'll explain how I can do that too with windows and arches. And I'll do the whole side, or I'll do some of the side where you notice down in the bottom here there isn't anything. Okay, and this here is a hill. Okay, so there's going to be a slope or something on the side of this, so I didn't do the drawings down below. And I use that to do a mock-up size, and it's made out of foam core. You know, now I can dismantle this and use the foam core for something else at some point. But these mock-ups, let me come back in here a minute with the arches. If I want to do an arch in the building, rather than making another mock-up of this or whatever, I can take a mat board, put this drawing and glue it over top of the mat board, and cut that out of the cut that arch out, so that I have an arch that's put on the mat board, and I can use that on the actual model. Okay, now this here is another quick model of a building that I did for the layout. I used clay on this one, and I made it a little bit more elaborate with the windows and all. This is a Belmont mansion. It's on the Columbia and Susquehanna Model Railroad. Okay, and here I actually carved the clay, and I went a little bit overboard on this, maybe for a mock-up, because the actual building is on the layout itself at the museum, Historical Society. But that's how I do a mock-up. You know, I had chimneys and stuff like that. This building here, I'm going to leave over here on the side, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down the actual building that I made for this mock-up. Okay, and I have that right over here. And let me bring him in place. Now, if I zoom back, you see some differences already. Okay, if you look, for one thing, there's a section of the building over here, this center section, that's not on the mock-up. Okay, I decided that at a later point. Also, these cupolas or whatever they are coming up are somewhat larger than the ones over here. Okay, this building didn't have the here's the mock-up. It has 3 windows over here. Over here it doesn't. Okay, so I make some changes as I go from the mock-up to the real building. Okay. But this is basically what the real building looks like. That's a stone. It's not real stone. It's not plaster or anything like that at that time. I used a it's a sheet. Okay, it's like an embossed sheet, This up here I made with mat board and these are pieces of cardboard, but they're sort of overlapping a little bit, like it would be a clapboard type of wall. Okay. So what I do is I do a mock-up, and then I do the real thing with modifications. Hey, this is another diorama that I built several years ago. And the building over here on the left is based on a building. I had a book from George Selios with the Franklin and South Manchester layout, which I believe is it's in Peabody, Massachusetts. And yes, I think that's how you pronounce it. But I saw this picture of this building in here, and I was sort of inspired to build that as a small diorama here. And so what I did is the building itself is styrene. Okay, it's made from styrene. Has V-groove styrene sheets, and that's what I used at that time to make the walls of the building. The stonework you see there is actually pieces of wood strip, and I carved the wood strip and beveled it and such, so it looks like stone there. And then there's a little creek there which I used it. I did as a Envirotex for that. Okay, and just coming around the side of the building, I think there's a sign or something over in here or over in there. That was just something I did on the computer and such. Okay, this building here I added to that, and this is a building that must have caught fire at one time in the woods, you know, and it's, you know, burned up and such. And I made these, it's out of wood that I made this. The boards there, a lot of them are cardboard strips that, you know, I just mangled up and such. And I used a what they call a wood burning iron to represent some of the darker pieces, or, you know, where the fire would have been, you know. And it's sort of a building that's, I call it the abandoned, burned out building. And of course there's a lot of trees and stuff that's out in the woods. These trees, some of them are super trees, some of them are scratch built. This one here is a scratch built tree that I made out of wire. The leaves on it are static grass, 12 millimeter, 7 millimeter, 4 millimeter, and I think there may be some 2 millimeter stuff there. I just make it with a modeling paste from Liquitex and cover that. And, you know, these are the things the kind of dioramas that I like to build. Here's one of the super trees, and some of them I just left as they were. Some things I had as, I bought at a place used to be in the Lancaster area called the Rag Shop, and they had these different kinds of tree things here. We can come in here and see these. And I used to buy some of those and just cut them off and put them on there. I never really added green to them or anything like that. But this diorama, like I said, is probably one of the first dioramas I built, and this was a long time ago. This model here is a very old model that I had scratch built. And it's just a generic building with a loading dock on it. Okay. And the loading dock is made of cardboard or wood strips, maybe toothpicks, things like that. The building itself is made of something that you might not have thought of to make buildings of. But let me show you the building first. And you can zoom in a little bit, and you can even see, I'm not sure if I'm getting a good angle of it, of the different boards that were in there. And I carved those boards. Okay, made the steps, scratch built those. Here's a little chimney thing I scratch built with a block of, might have been ceiling tile or something like that. Okay. And here's another little loading dock with steps. You know, this used to sit for a while on the Stiegel Valley Model Railroad Club in Mannheim for a long time, and they used it there as a temporary building until we built the real building, the Union Hall that we went in there on that layout, and that was years ago. And the door and the windows are all made from this material, and it happens to be Strathmore. Now, Strathmore is used for watercolor paintings, okay? And if you're going to do watercolors, and you know, it comes in weights. It's like this one here is 140 pound, okay, and you can use it for it takes water very well, okay. It doesn't shrivel up or anything like that, okay. And here's what it would sort of look like. It's a tablet that it comes in, okay, and it's sort of thin. So I use wood bracing on the inside for this, but it's made from Strathmore, and it's 140 pound Strathmore. I get a tablet of it. They're 9 by 12 inches each sheet, and there's 12 sheets to the tablet. Hi, this is Tony Segro again. This is a fairly famous diorama I built of a haunted house. And for a number of years, I guess it sat on the Columbia and Susquehanna Model Railroad. We had LED displays. I'm not sure. I think it was Bachman that made some kind of a sound thing. It had thunder and lightning timed with the LED strips, and then there was like a storm recorded on the system, and you know, you hear dogs barking at the end and the rain falling and everything. And when they decided they had to rework some of the areas of the layout, this area was taken out. So I brought this building home for safekeeping until at what point in time they're going to put it back on the layout down at the CNS Model Railroad. But this building here, I got the idea from Pinterest. And I said, you know, I think I want to build a big mansion or something like that on there. And I went through, look at mansions and stuff, and this came up as one of the pictures. I said, oh, it looks like a haunted house like the Addams Family or something like that, you know. So I said, I think I'll build that. And it's made from mat board. I did CAD drawings of the walls and stuff like that. And there's various walls, you know, around the building. So I can turn it a little bit, and maybe we can see other parts of the house and stuff. But the back, since it was against the wall, it's just a plain old back wall that I didn't model at all. Okay, if I can turn it, it's just a blank wall. Whereas the sides you saw, the back you didn't. Okay, but during the time of taking it out, of course, the fence was taken off. And I have pieces of the fence right here that I'm planning to reattach. Okay, and these were attached like around the building and stuff like that. And you can see it's made from just made from foam board and some cardboard and stuff like that. The fences, I believe, are I'm not sure. I forget who makes those. You know, they look like wrought iron fences and stuff that you'd see on houses like this. So that'll probably stay at my place right now until at which time it goes back. But the trees are just various trees that we'd had on the layout that sort of look a little dusty now, but I have to clean them off or whatever. But this hopefully will make its home back to the layout at some point. Hi, this is Tony Segro. This is one of the dioramas that I built a little bit ago, and I like to build these kind of buildings. They're sort of, you know, you have brick and they have wood in there. Some of them are going to have plaster. This one I called the Cabot Tool and Die, and it's scratch built. Some of the things in here, if you can see it, they're like stone. Okay, and that's actually Sculpey clay, which I cut individual stones out, put them in there one by one, glue them in to a mat board. mat board is the kind of thing you see in a photo, in a photograph or something where you have you mount a photograph in a frame. It has like a mat board around it or whatever. It's sort of this kind of stuff. Only it's here's like a scrap piece of it, and it's probably maybe an 1/8 inch thick or so. And probably not even that. But I use that to do the clay. The brick up here is styrene for the walls, but then I use JTT Architecture makes HO brick. I think the number is like 91422, but don't quote me on that. And they do a great brick sheet that I use, and I weather it and such. The arches are scratch built with cardboard, just thin cardboard. Okay, and those are from CAD drawings. What I do is I do a going the other way. I do CAD drawings using NanoCAD, and it's free. I have various window castings that I use, and I made drawings of them or blocks in AutoCAD, and then I just bring them into drawings and put them wherever I need to. The windows here are actually castings that I buy from Tichy. So the water tank is scratch built, as is this whole entire building here. Fences are scratch built. That's just wood strips with cardboard strips to represent the boards. This is a tube for the water pipe. I use Scotch tape. I glue it inside the tube and bring it down by the I glue it in there, and the pipe is glued into a piece of, I believe this is like ceiling tile that I use for the walls, and it's concrete and doing cracks and everything. Down at the bottom, I use aquarium filter to represent the splash part of the wall, and the water itself is Envirotex, which is a 2-part epoxy resin. I built these utility poles, and those again are from drawings, or I go on Pinterest and find out what does a utility pole look like, and I make those from scratch. Okay, they're made. The pole is a 5/32 inch evergreen tube, made by Evergreen styrene. Okay, and I added a 18 gauge wire that I put between the poles. I painted that black, and also up at the top here, I have telephone wire that goes across from the pole to pole, and it's made with wire. It's 3/1000ths of an inch thick, and I have that over here on a big spool there of spool of copper wire there. So I got plenty of that. I added a little shed down here along the side, and the trees I like to do birch trees over here, and I like to get in there and play with roots. And those are made from various gauge wire, twisted. Okay, I use 22, I use 20, 24, I use 26 gauge wire, and I use 30 gauge wire. I just twist it around and bend it out, and whatever shape the branches take, And I use this what's called Liquitex. It's a modeling paste. Okay, and that's what it is. And I thin that with water and paint it over the tree, over the wires to hide the twists and stuff. And then once that dries, I'll add another coat, and then the branches are, made from static grass, 12 millimeter, 7 millimeter, and 4 millimeter, and I just glue those on with matte medium. Okay. So these kind of things are the buildings I like to do. So, the wood up here is just plain cardboard strips, a piece of cardboard that's like a 1/16 of an inch thick. I just cut it thin and put put boards on there, windows. Sometimes I'll use cardboard strips for the roofing, or I might use masking tape also if I want to put shingles. And I paint those. Sometimes I'll paint them slate gray. The sign I just did on the computer and sort of colored that and weathered it a little bit. So that's that diorama, the Cabot tool and die.